Hey there, Powerhouses. Welcome back to the Pitching Powerhouse Podcast. Today, I'm excited to talk about an alternative to traditional goal setting and how you can use it to transform your 2025 into a year filled with purpose, excitement, and meaningful growth. It is not too late to plan for this year. I know we are already past the first month of the year. That's A-okay. We are going to look at this, life. We're looking at life and it's ongoing, and it is never the wrong time to think about getting the most out of life and planning for all of the things that matter to you most. Before we dive in and get started, I want to make sure that you have downloaded, or if you haven't, grab our free 2025 New Year Success Workbook and have it ready for this episode. I have created this workbook to help you clear space, align your goals, and help to set yourself up for success this year and beyond. And it is packed with actionable prompts, specific steps designed to help you kick off the year with intention and focus. You can't get where you're going unless you know the roadmap to get there and you know the steps it's going to take to arrive at that destination. So this will serve as a roadmap for you. Grab your free copy now at generationacademy.com/end of year. And let's dive in. So first, this episode is called Life First Planning. But what even is life first planning? This is where you flip the script on how you approach your schedule and what matters most. What are your priorities? So instead of starting with work and everyone else's demands, life first planning means that you're intentionally designing your life. This is your dreams, your joy, your happiness, your goals, and letting everything else fit in around that. An example of this is scheduling dinner with your partner or family game nights that you want to do consistently. Maybe that's Friday. We do Friday movie nights. We make some popcorn and we all gather on Friday nights, pile on the couch and watch a movie. Or if we're into a TV series, we'll just binge watch with our kids a couple more episodes of a show that we love. But it is our family time and that's on the schedule. And you put that on first and then everything else will fit around that. So why try life first planning? I have a couple of reasons for you. It will prevent burnout. That's number one. This style of planning ensures that you prioritize rest, joy, your personal well-being, so that you don't drain your energy trying to keep up with everyone else's never-ending demands. And an example of this is you are prioritizing rest even in the midst of a big launch for a client or some major initiative you're working on. You cannot show up as your best self. You cannot give it your full creative bandwidth if you are completely exhausted and burning the candle at both ends, and you feel more resentful than creative. You feel more tired and drained than energized and focused. You need to schedule a rest. And when you're in the middle of a big launch or something that is super demanding, you're probably going to have the instinct to power through. And that is going to lead to burnout. The other reason here is it will help foster fulfillment. Focusing on what matters will allow you to create a life that feels meaningful and that's aligned with your values, with your purpose, rather than just having a checklist and checking boxes. Like, nobody loves checklists and checking boxes more than I do, but that can be categorized as busy work or as distractions, unless you are actually adding to your list the things that fill up your cup, the people you like spending time with, the things you do to rest and recharge, the time you would take to reflect on your week, your relationship, your connection with your kids. All of those things will help foster fulfillment, helping you to prioritize what truly matters to you. So are you doing that, or are you just going through the motions in kind of a reactive mode every single day, responding to texts, responding to emails, popping up and looking at your phone whenever there's a ping or an alert or something that will grab your attention away from you first and what your priorities are, what really matters for you? So how do you identify work first planning? This is the typical way it's done. These are the common thought processes. I need to be available for everyone before I can focus on myself. In the agency life, it's typically, I need to reply to emails immediately. And if I don't, clients will think that I'm not working hard enough for them and I'm on retainer, so I have to be accessible at all times. Raise your hand if you've ever thought that way or acted that way with a new client. Another common thought process when you're really pushing work first planning is my worth is tied to how much I accomplish every day. Or if I say no, I'll let people down or I'll miss an opportunity. I have been guilty of this one. I can't afford to rest. There's too much to do. Or once I hit my goals, then I'll finally make time for myself. Or once I hit the revenue goal that I'm looking for, then I'll finally feel like I can take a vacation. Some of the common work first planning behaviors are scheduling your work tasks first and then trying to fit any personal priorities into any leftover time, or feeling guilty for taking breaks or any kind of time off. Maybe you're skipping meals entirely or just working through lunch. I do this personally. I might be at my desk, but I use that time that I'm eating to catch up on a video or listen to a podcast or watch a podcast online on YouTube. Something that is not directly work related, but something that I want to, get into my head, like listen to it and learn and absorb. Sometimes I will take my food and I will sit outside. I'll bring the dog out with me, get some sun on my face. A lot of times I'll go out and meet a friend, but if you are going to be sitting at your desk and you feel tethered because you're skipping meals or you're eating in front of your computer while you're still working, that is a work first approach. It also means you're answering emails and messages during family time or any kind of personal activities, which means that you are not fully present. When you are present, that is when your mind, your focus, your attention, your energy, your interest is where you physically are. Where's your body and who are you with? If you're looking at your phone and you're replying to texts, and just 1 second, I have to answer this, you're not fully present. And when you have kids, they're watching you. And anytime you say to them, no more screen time or put your phone away, we're not on screens right now, they will turn around and say to you, you're always on your screen. You're always replying when we're having family time. Literally take it, put it in a drawer, put it away from yourself so that you're not tempted, because you want to have your focus and attention on the activities you're actually doing when you're with your family or having some sort of a personal activity. This could also mean sacrificing sleep just to get more done. It's consistently putting others' needs ahead of your own. And you might rarely, if ever, be planning time for joy, for personal growth and development, or any kind of relaxation, anything that you can do to recharge. You never plan for it. You sort of assume it will happen, but it doesn't happen unless you shift and add it to your calendar and make it happen. The way you prioritize your schedule reveals if your life revolves around work or if your work supports your life. So you probably recognize yourself in some of those strategies that I mentioned. I certainly do. If you're listening, I'm raising my hand. Absolutely. A lot of this for me is knowing it and actually implementing it are kind of two different things, but I'm a lot better than I used to be. So let's talk through strategies to shift more towards this life first planning. First thing, we already did it. Recognize the pattern. This is how you reflect on your current structure of your day. How are you currently structuring your day? Are your personal priorities only getting kind of that leftover time, the little scraps of time after work, or if you don't have a work event, or is there a thoughtful balance in how you plan your days? So recognizing the pattern in your schedule or your planning process. Is it typically reactive? You have an open calendar, maybe you have a few set meetings with clients. I have a day that I record podcasts. I have team meetings on certain days, client meetings on certain days, and then other days are open. What fills those days? Is it things that come at me? Or am I proactively looking for things that bring me joy and help recharge my batteries and spending time with the people who lift me up and make me feel great and energize me, prioritizing family and adding that to the calendar first before somebody can jump in and block out my schedule with some work commitment that benefits them. So you have to recognize the pattern. And then 2, reframe your mindset. You have to shift from thinking, how can I fit my life around work, to how can I fit work around my life? That simple question can change your life so dramatically and be the difference between feeling like you are spinning all the plates, you are burnt out, stressed out, tired, frustrated, joyless. And I know a lot of women feel joyless, and I certainly have. To feeling a life where you're fulfilled, where you have deep connections, where you have great family traditions and memories, trips and experiences that will create memories that last a lifetime. And it starts by asking that question and then reshaping your schedule. So let's talk about how to do that. I have adapted this from Jesse Itzler, who has been a mentor of mine for a while. Actually, I always point this yellow medal here. If you've been around the podcast for a while, you may have heard that I did this ridiculously insane endurance challenge in 2019, where I went to a ski resort, no snow, but just during off season in Utah called Snow Basin. And I summited the ski run, hiking up multiple times in a row in order to ascend to the equivalent of Everest. It's called Everesting. So 29,029 is the height of Everest. At the peak, it's not an easy thing to get there and train and do all of that. This was hard training as well, but you have to do several ascents. I ended up doing 9 ascents where you gain 3,000 vertical feet and 3,000, foot elevation in 36 hours. So I'm hiking at night with a headlamp. All of this to say, it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I pushed myself beyond anything I thought I could do, anything that was possible. I thought I was possible for me to do. I am not anyone who would seek out an endurance activity. I wasn't with my husband. I did it literally hiking at night with a headlamp by myself. The headlamp reflected these little glowing eyes right back at me. And I'm thinking, is that a raccoon? Is that a bear? What is looking? And little eyes, like a mommy and a couple babies, thinking, oh my God, they're going to think I'm a predator. It was crazy. Jesse Itzler organized that event, and he has an ongoing, if that resonates at all and you're remotely interested, you can Everest as well. He has several events throughout the US, different times of the year. Look up 29,029. I think you spell out the word 29, and then the number 0, and then spell out 29.com. And you can do it. It's a very high-end event, really nice accommodations. It's tense, but there's swag, really cool swag, tons of rations, food sponsors. There were celebrities that did it. There were Olympic athletes, world-class record holders for training, endurance, triathletes, and then little old Jen, the housewife. But I had another business mentor that brought a group of us, and it was incredible. And I am so proud of myself. But I've been following Jesse ever since. The point of this is that he has a big-ass calendar that he sells that employs this approach. And the goal is to plan your life and then fit everything else around it so that you build your life resume. That is his positioning his business, deepen your relationships, have more experiences, pick up new habits. And so I love this approach so much. I am giving Jesse credit where credit is due. I have the big ass calendar and it comes with these little Post-its that can fit perfectly into the squares. You see the entire year. Each month represents a row. And then you can see what your year is shaping up to look like. So you can plan for fun and adventure and meaningful pursuits. So reshaping your schedule, you're going to start by blocking time for your personal priorities. That's family, hobbies, anything you want to deepen your experience with, or go on a trip, or even rest. Rest, relaxation, travel, experiences. And all of that will be blocked before you add any work tasks, any work goals. Ask yourself these questions, and this is in your workbook. What are the top 3 experiences that you want to have in 2025? And again, I know it's not right at the new year. It is still okay to focus on this right now. Even if you've already set goals, that's fantastic. Do not interrupt your goals, but now you are going to build the calendar around your life experiences you want to have, and your goals will still fit in. But now you have fun and joy and presence and adventure, health, relaxation, all of those things, connecting with the people you love, that's scheduled in too. Another thing to keep in mind and ask yourself in the planner is, why are these experiences meaningful to you? It always helps when things get hard or when you're kind of like, this is dumb, why am I even doing this? To have your why as a North Star. Why is this important to you? Each experience can have a different reason that it is important to you and meaningful. Jesse talks about this a lot when his parents were alive, wanting to spend time with them and kind of doing the math on how many times a year he sees his parents and how many years they might have left, and thinking that he might only see his parents 10 more times. And that was a fire that was lit under him to proactively spend more time, call them more, do more things. And so I actually did something really cool this past weekend. I planned a day trip to this really incredible car museum here in Los Angeles called the Nethercutt Museum. They have this incredible, massive collection of like turn of the century cars, Duesenbergs and Model A's, and then, cars from the 20s and 30s. They have a Duesenberg that was in The Great Gatsby, original Maybach, Bugatti, like incredible cars. My dad is a car guy, and I wanted my kids to see that experience almost through his eyes, how special it was to somebody who loves cars. My dad's already been, and surprisingly, he still said, yeah, I'll go with you guys. And we had such a great day. It was very meaningful to me, and I proactively plan that. Now, I'm not the planner in my family. Typically, my husband is the best trip planner in the business. And I'll just say, where are we going? What's the climate? How many days? And I'll just show up packed. Like, I don't know the details. And I think it drives him crazy. And he's always kind of aching for me to plan something, even if it's little day activities. So I am making an effort to be more proactive in that way and trying to connect with my parents as much as I can, because those relationships are so important, and I want them to know that, and I want my children to have positive experiences with my parents, and that's so important. So think about why these experiences are meaningful to you, and then what steps do you need to take in order to make them happen? Very simply, to go to this museum, I had to find out if my dad was interested, and then figure out how to get tickets, where it was, what day we could fit it in. There ended up being a conflict one day, so I had to move it, make sure my dad was available. I had to drive up there, something simple like that. But it could be something that involves more planning, like some sort of an annual family trip, a family reunion. It could be an endurance challenge or some other kind of fitness goal that you have. You don't just get up one day and run a marathon or a half marathon or a 10K. You have to build out a training schedule and then start sticking with it, which means you are scheduling that, not after work. Maybe you put it in the schedule for physically after your workday ends, but it is you scheduling that training, those steps one at a time so that you fit it in and then everything else fits around it. And then you also want to ask yourself, what were my greatest hits and worst mistakes this year? Write them all down. Part of growing and improving is reflection and taking the lessons that you can pull from what you experienced the previous year and remembering what it could have taught you. When I say worst misses, that's not necessarily a mistake, but maybe something that didn't work out or it didn't go the way it was that you planned, or maybe it was something that you thought was kind of a waste of time. You can look at that and say, you know what? Somebody invited me to that and I didn't really know a lot about it. I just said yes, and it ended up being kind of a bad experience. Maybe from now on, I will, really think about what my priorities are, who my priorities are, and if the person invites me somewhere, I'll do a little research on the event. If I don't love it, I will say, I would love to spend time with you. I can't make it to this event, but let's pick a day in the calendar. Another thing that I just did, I was so proud of myself. I haven't seen my childhood best friend in years. I mean, we live very close to each other, but she has high-powered job with a ton of responsibility. Her kids are, very into sports and they're going all over. She is busy. And we keep up on text, not as much as we should. But we finally, I think she bumped into my brother and was like, your brother was so lovely. It was so nice to catch up with him. And then he told me he saw her too. And so we texted and then I made plans to see her. And we had so much fun catching up. And while we were sitting there, we pulled out our phones and we made a date in the calendar for our next get together. And if that date ends up not working out, instead of, not having it at all, we can pick another date and reschedule it. But our birthdays are around the same time and we picked a date that's kind of in between our two birthdays. And it's typically a day of the week that I'm available and she said she is too. So we'll probably get to see each other again in like 3 months, which is so awesome because I love being around her. I feel so energized. She has the greatest laugh ever. Like I just want to make her laugh because her laugh is the best. It is contagious. So when you're out doing the thing, being with a person, maybe getting a massage or something like that, take them up on the offer to schedule the next one while you're there so that you get it in the calendar and you actually do it. So what I would want you to do right now is pause this episode and get out that workbook. Again, generationacademy.com/end of year. And you now have your 2025 New Year Success Workbook and outline your top 3 experiences that you want to have this year and set deadlines for when you want to achieve them. And then come right back to me because I got more for you here. Okay, now that you have done that, infuse your year with excitement and growth by planning things that are out of the ordinary. This is something that you would want to adopt, like, some new skill you want to learn or an experience you want to have. And I say 6 because I feel like time is going by so crazy quickly, although January feels like it's 5 months in one, just based on everything that's gone on. But if you do 6, you can focus on one thing every 2 months. And by the end of the year, you will have 6 brand new experiences. What do I mean by experiences? It could be, I will never forget racing Porsches on the racetrack in Carson for my birthday last year. Not the year that just passed, but the year before. Incredible A+ experience. I will never forget it. Something like that, different out of the box. It could be taking a cooking class, learning, investing. I just invested in a class to learn how to make sourdough. I know how to make sourdough bread, but mastering sourdough, like Neapolitan pizza dough, so that we can have Friday pizza family days. Like that is my why for why I want this experience. I want to be with my boys and have a tradition of homemade pizzas on Friday nights. We each get our own dough and we each make a personal pizza. And that involves planning ahead because the pizza dough I want to make takes a couple days. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. A lot of that time is, hands-off time. It's not like you're labor intensive all the time, but I want to do it right so that this could be something we all really look forward to. I've tried, I haven't mastered, but I invested in a course to learn from an expert in how to do this. And so that could be my goal for one of the 2 months that I pick my 6 out of the ordinary activities. It could be learn calligraphy. It could be watercolors, taking a class. It could be pottery, learning the drums. I want to pick back up. I was borrowing the drum kit from my neighbor. He moved away. He currently does not have a place where he can keep the drums. And he asked me basically to buy the drums, which I did. They are from the 1960s. They're incredible. They're mahogany wood. I think he sold them to me like for a third of market value. He said some of the greatest drummers that have ever lived have played on these drums. So I need to learn more about that. They are super cool, gold glitter with mahogany, inner casings. One of them, the kick drum, needs a new skin, but they're mine now. And I invested in a course called Drumeo. I sort of picked up with it and then stopped when my kids were home for a long stretch because I don't really like anyone hearing me practice. They're very judgmental. I don't know if you know this about teenagers. So I kind of lost a little momentum and I picked it back up again. And especially now that those drums are mine, they're not going anywhere. Let's learn how to play. That could be another experience. It could be planting an herb garden, planting a cutting garden so that you can, that was one that Mel Robbins said, really chunking it down. So instead of saying, I want to learn Spanish and I want to learn how to garden and make sourdough and calligraphy and drumming, it's not all at once. It's once every 2 months and prioritizing, maybe it's a certain time of year, plant your garden in the spring. You're not going to plant it in the dead of winter. Really thinking about the activities that have energized you the most in the past year and how can you build on that? Either looking for something similar, like a similar type of event that you attended, or it could be building on something that you already started and then working to deepen your expertise and to master it. And if it seems overwhelming, then what you can do is try to adopt one life first habit at a time. If it's not overwhelming to you, try for one habit a month and just slowly add your habits, right? So we're talking about big year-defining goals for your personal things that you want to accomplish, and then 6 activities that are out of the ordinary, and then one habit a month. If that's overwhelming, try for one every 2 months. Or just start with one. Building habits slowly and intentionally will lead to lasting change. So when you're choosing a habit, ask yourself which habit might make the biggest positive impact on your life in 2025. So that could mean walking 10,000 steps a day, right? That one habit can change how you sleep. It can probably change how much water you're drinking every day. You're going to need more water. Speaking of, I shall have a sip. It probably will change how you eat because when you're moving your body and you're focused on health, you just tend to want to eat cleaner foods. It could change when you wake up in the morning because maybe you have to prioritize getting moving. It could mean you get a dog. I get at least half of my steps every single day walking my dog. Taking her for a walk, usually 2 miles, I get 5,000 steps. And then I have a walking pad under my desk and I have a lift desk. So I have a really beautiful, nice desk. I just replaced my office furniture. And then there's like a lift up so that I can be walking and my computer's at eye height. I don't do deep work when I'm on the treadmill, the walking pad, but I will focus on looking and sorting emails or watching a course or watching a, YouTube video or something like that. What that will help you do is think of the systems that you have to have in place to stay consistent. So for me, it meant that I got a walking pad because I didn't really have the ability to walk 10,000 steps just around my neighborhood. I was getting about half. That makes it a no-brainer, rain or shine, I can do it. It could mean having, for me, I had to get more pants, like the pants that I use to, comfortably walk around. I got a bag to hold my AirPods and my phone and doggy bags and things like that. I have the things in place to be successful. So it's, what are the systems? What are the objects, the things you need to have in place to stay consistent? And then think also, what did I learn this year about my habits or behaviors that either supported my goals and really helped me to be successful or hindered my goals? Sometimes it's the people that you stay around, hang around. If you are not wanting to drink so much, I will say the older I get, the less good I feel if I have a drink. I don't drink anymore. I would love to be around if everybody's drinking and having a good time. I don't feel that kind of peer pressure. And every now and then one drink is fine, especially if it's not so close to bedtime. But overall, I don't feel good. But if you have an issue with drinking, then you may want to not hang around people that encourage you to continue that bad habit. It's really thinking through what you can do to be supported or how to move away from things that prevented you from having success at those things. And another thing I want you to think about is the people in your life, the relationships that matter the most to you, your family, your children, your partner, your parents. It could be cousins, in-laws, and friends. Think about the ones that lift you up and bring you energy and make you feel great. You can be yourself around them and try to build in time in your calendar before all of your other goals to see them more often. Don't wait for the invitations to come. Be the one that does the inviting, that does the asking. I wasted way too much time in my life thinking that I had to be invited and not being the one to be proactive. And I don't know why that is, but now I realize relationships and friendships, they're a two-way street. And you can show you care by asking, making time, putting it in your calendar. If you have a significant other, schedule a weekly date night or bi-weekly. Get childcare in place. Maybe you have a friend that's nearby, a neighbor, somebody that also wants a date night, but you all have little kids. So maybe one week you watch all the kids and they go, and the next week they watch all the kids and you go. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's just about committing to the things that matter most. And then the last step is commit to boundaries. You have to set clear limits on your work hours. You have to say no to unnecessary obligations, things that aren't really worth your time. They don't light you up. They're not important. They don't further your goals. They don't align with your values. It's just a no. When you know clearly what your values are, your goals, then anything that doesn't fit with that is a clear no. And then really protect that time for yourself and for the people that you love. It's not that you're saying no to somebody else. It's that you're saying yes to yourself and your own priorities. And then regularly review, reflect, adjust your schedule so that you can ensure that it aligns with your life first intentions and make changes as needed. So again, because I stumbled my words, regularly review your schedule and ensure that it aligns with your life first intentions and make changes as needed. If something comes up, maybe something you put in your calendar now is a conflict, it's still in there. So instead of not having it at all or deleting it, move it. But at least you prioritize that thing. And now you're certain that it is in the system. It's going to happen. It's on the books. No excuses. That thing is going to happen. So wrap this up. I love this life first planning. This work first planning, it's really easy to fall into, and society really encourages it at every turn. But I deserve a life where my priorities come first. You deserve a life where your priorities come first, not one where they may just be an afterthought where you're fitting them into the cracks of your other work priorities and other people's impact on your schedule and your agenda, just making it where you're obligated to fit in their needs first before your own. Shift the focus back to you and create a life that's fun and filled with adventure and new experiences, and a life that truly fits the one that you want to build. And if this resonated with you, I want to hear it. So send me a DM. I'm on Instagram @GenerationPR, or we have a free community on Facebook, Powerhouse Pros. If you're not already in it, it is an incredible community of thousands of PR professionals all over the world that are helping and sharing resources and lifting each other up. It is an awesome community. Share it there. I want to hear how this episode resonated and what you are doing to implement life planning first into your approach for 2025. So I will see you in the next episode. And until then, go out and crush it this week. I will be crushing it right alongside you. And I'll see you next week. Take care.